What is up, my New World friends? Season 10 is shaping up to be one of the most exciting times we have had in New World aeternum since its launch, or maybe even the original New World launch itself. Tons of new content and revamps of old systems, as well as some actual concentration on PvP to please longtime players, including me. We have new events that are catered towards endgame, which is awesome. I know I'm getting a bit too excited as we all know how AGS has burned us in the past, but I am genuinely hyped for this free, yes, I said free expansion. With that out of the way, let's get on with the more in depth analysis of the new zone, content, and gameplay changes that we will see with Season 10, Nighthaven, which drops on Monday, October the 13th, 2025. All right, first thing we have, obviously, is a new zone called Nighthaven, an ancient land rich with history. Nighthaven was largely cut off from the rest of Eternum for lifetimes under the direction of its powerful king. Odds are that's probably the vampire that you see in the main screen for the new launch. And those few who did visit the Haunting Woods, which I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it's the looks like a cave that you enter from Elysian Wild. So there's probably gonna be a quest that ends with the main story quest there for you to get in. So the Haunting Woods and mighty castles tell stories of mysterious figures, tall and lithe, engaged both in the politics of the court and the dark hallways of the land's many ruins. These inhabitants can be both charming and welcoming, or vicious and fearsome, depending on how they view those that they interact with. They rule at the behest of their king, carving out pieces of land that they oversee on his behalf. There are also stories of monstrous creatures that seem to exhibit the qualities of both man and beast. Although they have largely been known to stalk the dark forest and hills of Nighthaven, they're now an ever present threat. Nighthaven is a land shrouded in mystery where the dark holds sway over the light. Power lies deep in the catacombs and ruins of this land. Catacombs are awesome. That's something we're going to get to in a minute. And bold and brave enough to venture there, discover the secrets hidden in the shadows of these ancient halls, and use them to confront the threats endangering not only the people of Nighthaven, but the whole of Eternum as well. So that's the description given by Amazon. Frankly, it sounds pretty cool to me. Gonna have some political types, probably the hot vampire chicks in the pictures, and the king as well, I'm sure. And then more than likely, tons of werewolf type minions to defeat. Excited for the new zone. Hopefully, it's fairly large, like the Brimstone Sands was, with hopefully loads of named monsters that might actually drop some useful gear, because that was one of the best things to do in Brimstone Sands expansion, the other free expansion, where to hunt some of the elite named monsters and get some drops that actually were useful for your character. So hopefully some of that will be what we get with the new zone. All right, next we have a new OPR map called the Tower. So it says the tower rises above the mists, a gothic fortress fusing ancient magic and engineering, brilliance atop a mountain peak. Battle across three vertical layers of dark grandeur, from the commanding castle heights to the corrupted depths below. That sounds pretty cool. Hopefully we'll get some good fights in there. Jump pads and strategic pathways create constant warfare, while three capture points drive the action. Underground passages hide valuable mines and fearsome arenas, providing tactical options and game-changing resources. In this 20 versus 20 battlefield, victory belongs to those who can master both the heights and the depths of combat. So, like I said, it sounds pretty cool. Hope the rooms are small enough to encourage some maybe 3-on-3 or some small groups. Definitely be a lot better than the steamroll that you see in the larger OPR maps. With hopefully the meta changes a little bit. It's not all crescent wave, great swords, and healers. Looking forward to this for sure. I'm sure longtime PvP players are as well, and hopefully they do some maybe a little bit of modifications and changes to skills so we can have more diversified builds. All right, next thing we have is a new game mode called the Catacombs. So AGS explains the Catacombs is a new game mode in which up to 3 players explore the depths of a procedurally generated dungeon. Sounds cool to me. Battling a wide variety of enemies and bosses, gain unique mode-specific power-ups, collecting cursed resources and currency. Sounds kind of like doubloons to me, and maybe when you exit, they actually turn into the proper stuff. And racing to successfully exit and cleanse your treasures before times runs out. So yeah, definitely just like the free for all island with the doubloons. So says while the difficulty of catacombs is moderate at the start of the session, the challenge or reward is increased significantly each time a boss is defeated, which sounds awesome. To counter this, players are able to acquire in-mode power-ups that enhance their stats and abilities. With each boss defeated, players must decide between pushing further into the catacombs for even greater rewards or safely making their exit before time runs out. Failure to make a safe exit results in the loss of the vast majority of the treasures collected, but only one player needs to safely exit to avoid this. So that sounds pretty cool. Like if you're close to beating something, you can send a player to the exit, and gives a little bit more meaning to actually the fights. So you have to be more strategic in what you do, which I kind of like. So I mean, the one thing hopefully they fix, like we personally already have if you disconnect and then it kind of kicks you out. Hopefully, there's something to do with that where it won't penalize you. And so that's probably the thing that I look forward to the most. New, challenging, fast-paced content. Slightly changes run to run, which is nice. Hopefully the rewards are decent, maybe rare, to encourage constant running of this new game mode. So if you're finding this content useful or enjoyable, I hope it is both what a guy can dream. Please consider a like and a subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. It is greatly appreciated and lets us know that I'm on the right track and giving you content that you want. A dislike is okay as well if you truly do not like the content, but also let me know in the comments things that I can do to improve. So now back to more New World Season 10 information. So the next thing we have, none of this is in any particular order. Some of it's the patch notes that you could read, but I like to talk about it a little bit. But new story, the Tear of Gaia. So after the events of the Legion Wilds, Morgaine left with the Tear of Gaia to sequester it somewhere safe, away from the ambitious intent. However, it seems that her journey was met with ill fortune. The Tear has gone missing. So obviously it's somewhere in the new zone, Nighthaven, probably in the castle with that vampire dude. She is once more tuning to the Soul Ward in an attempt to recover the Tear and keep the world safe from whatever nefarious intent may be planned for it. So travel within a newly discovered land of Nighthaven. I'm guessing the entrance is going to be, like I said, probably that tunnel they show in the one picture and the patch notes. And you're probably going to have to do a quest that ends or starts with the ending of the Elysian Wilds quest line. So you're going to go into the new discovered Nighthaven, engage the enigmatic, mysterious figures that call it home as you search for a divine artifact. Search through ageless ruins and facades of opulence as you work to uncover the truth of what is happening in this isolated and reclusive land. But be wary, as trust is commodity in short supply throughout Nighthaven. Look like a continuation of the Elysian Wilds and Angry Earthmain story quest for sure. Possibly that entrance I was talking about. Some sort of small side quest. Sure, it won't be anything too major to get in there, but you will have to have purchased the Elysian Wilds then to get this actual free expansion. So next thing that's going to be in there is for the in-game crowd, and I'm actually looking forward to getting into this a little bit. I don't have a lot of playtime, so I haven't done a lot of the in-game raids like the Gorgon or anything like that. So it's a new raid called the Isle of Night. Isle of Night is a new 10-person in-game raid that's set in a once magnificent kingdom whose inhabitants have now fallen lost. Similar in length and format to the Hava Gorgons, this raid features 3 new bosses and multiple new enemy types. I'm guessing it's probably going to have to be closer to that 800 gear score to do this, maybe 750, but you never know. People were doing the Gorgon with the lighter gear and stuff. So, raid features 3 new bosses and multiple new enemy types, light puzzles, and set of piece counters. This raid will be some of the hardest content in Season 10, demanding players gear up and coordinate to succeed. I'm looking forward to this slightly. I'm not a big in-game guy, so I was pretty addicted to Final Fantasy 11 for many years, and I told myself I wouldn't get addicted to any more games, so because I definitely waste a lot of real life time to do this stuff. So been mostly a 100% solo player the last 3 years or so, which is good in this game because you can do almost everything. At some point I would like to join a company and actually do the content. Like I said, I played Final Fantasy 11 for 20 years and heavily involved in game, so I burnt myself out. And I actually haven't done the worm or the hive run here, so I know, pathetic, right? All right, and then last but no means least, because I think this is one of the most impactful changes if they pull it off without too many bugs, overhauled in-game progression. So Nighthaven brings with it numerous in-game wide changes to systems, progression, gearing, and rewards. Our goal with these changes is to form a connective tissue that motivates a variety of play to in-games activities, enables players to customize their loadouts in ways they never could. So basically, we're going to have different powerful combinations of equipment. So the level cap's going to get raised up to 70, gear score max to 800. So along with the level cap increase, gear score is raising from 725 to 800. PvP modes, which currently scale to 700, will now scale 7 to 75. So that's good. So some of the older gear will still be useful. Then a new gear modding system called Perk Charms. Sounds pretty interesting. So instead of one customizable gem socket, gear can now have up to 4 empty slots into which players can install new perk modifiers called Charms. Charm sockets and charms themselves have 3 types: defensive, offensive, and skill. Hopefully we can use some of our old crafting mods and maybe we can combine them to get rid of them, some of them, make them, some of them useful. There's definitely a lot of useless stuff in the game, so like durability, things like that. So charms can be picked up fully refined, I guess, through crafting, or more commonly will need to be crafted with rare materials dropped from in-game content. So things like the catacombs, things like that. So I'm assuming some of these types of perk will be more like on the lines of straight damage wards or perks. I guess obviously your skills, maybe straight and power boosts. So set bonuses are going to be kind of cool. Said They're going to increase or introduce set bonuses in New World Term for the first time. So there's a lot of that stuff in older games. Ultra rare sets gear will be earned from Pinnacle in-game content like the Olive Knight Raid, Catacombs, PvP track, and to encourage players to mix and match these sets, which I like. So set bonuses come in a lot of different things. You can have 2 of 4 pieces. Some of them are 3 of 5. So there's a lot of different combinations you can work up to. I'll let you lead the patch notes if you want to really get into that, but that helps with some more unique play styles. A lot of leeway in making builds to suit your unique play style. So it reminds me of Lord of the Rings Online, which had some really cool sets with things like Devastate and Crit Multipliers for really great burst damage. So hopefully it's somewhere along the lines of that kind of stuff. I think WoW had stuff like that too. I was never played it. So Umbrals, to round out the long-term change, we ushered in some new generation of Umbral Shards. Hopefully there's a path maybe to upgrade the old Umbral Shards, maybe like a 10 to 1 or 100 to 1 or something. But it'd be pretty cool with that. So basically the Umbrals, instead of using the Gypsum Kiln. So any gear with a gear score of 700 can be upgraded with a new Umbrals. System works slightly different than Umbrals in the past. It's a currency with a wallet cap of 1,000 and a weekly rate limit to earn. So that'll keep it kind of like more important, and people won't just spam it and pretty much outrank everybody right away. But that's good. So keep the Umbral's value from deteriorating over time, which was a problem we saw with the previous version, they say. And yeah, it would really be awesome if they could convert these things maybe into that currency. So, but we could dream about that. There's something called infix perks. So basically unique gear pieces with powerful and rare perks. Maybe there'll be some open world mobs that drop things like that. That'd be pretty cool. But function similarly to how the unique perk on artifacts work. And it's probably just going to be more artifacts, but it'd be cool if they could be dropped from elite mobs like they were in Brimstone Sands, different gear. And then attribute changes are going to get rid of the attribute perks on there, like they're on some of the artifacts, and replace them with other types of perks. And they're actually going to go through and get rid of some of the old perks. So hopefully they get rid of things like durability, and there's a lot of perks that are totally useless. So, but hopefully they get rid of some of those. We get some better newer perks, and I do find it cool that some of the items it says will have bigger boosted perks, but they'll also have slight penalties for using. So that's good. Looking forward to that. Maybe a little diversity in your game builds. Maybe the medals go away, but probably not. I hope you all found this video useful, and I look forward to seeing all you New World Aeternum for Season 10, Nighthaven. Consider liking and subscribe if you have.